What a day it has been. And I know ain't nobody watching right now, but somebody might come back and watch. And you know what? Howdy. Welcome. Speaking of welcome, somebody just joined. How exciting is that? I'm excited. My glasses are dirty. Let's see. So today's going to be an exciting day, and I'll probably have to repeat this a couple times because right now I got three people in. We will have more coming, but I have my hands on a Tint Buster backpack, and I am sure that a lot of people have been wondering, is it a real thing? I mean, is it like, because I mean, let's be honest. My first impression. Hold on, I'll be right back with that first impression. Okay, sorry about that. Still trying to wrap up last minute things. That's why Alex isn't on screen with me right now. Oh yeah, glasses. Going to clean my glasses. What was I talking about? Do you guys remember? I don't remember. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, oh yeah, that Tint Buster thing. Actually, we got a lot of things to talk about, and Tint Buster is just going to be one of them. But I realized it was 3:30, and I'm like, oh shit, I ain't even done anything with the whole uh, tool talk thing and scheduling that, and I haven't thought about what I wanted to say exactly, other than I do want to. I've been I've been holding out for since the Tinner battles, wanting to talk about this because I got a hold of one of them at the Tinner battles, and I brought it back with me, and I haven't even opened it yet. So I haven't even got to the point where we know what it's all about. And so T Town says it is real. Tim, speaking of T Town, this shirt that I got on that you made for me, it is amazing. I forget which shirt it is, but whatever shirt it is that you embroidered and sent to me, I'm gonna need five XLs and five mediums if you could, like at your earliest convenience. And after the show we can talk about it if you got any questions. But I keep forgetting to call you. I've been meaning to call you. I wore it for the first time finally at Tinner Battles, and I'm like, oh my god, this shirt is nice. And yeah, T Town T-shirts. If you guys need anything branded made, he did the hoodies for me, and maybe I'll give a couple of those out today. I'm not sure. I got zip up and pullover hoodies, and I'll add it to the cart. Okay, cool. All right, so Um, Alex is just wrapping up orders. I don't know if you guys have seen. I just started running a little boosted promotion thing. Almost free, and honest to God, guys, my prices are too cheap. My markups too low. I've had a little bit of I wouldn't call it negative feedback, but I've had a little bit of feedback on my clearance price stuff that that the price ain't low enough, and I'm selling it for cost. So that's what it is, and I can promise you, there's no place on this planet that you can buy Avery Dennison window film for this price. It just doesn't exist. So whatever's left is left. Me and Avery are, I guess, on good terms. I like their film. Their film's good. They're not the company I'm going to do business with. I'm not going to get into details, but let's just say that I have a way that I run my business, and it doesn't mesh with the way that they run their business. We'll just leave it at that. So, um, John says, I love the Tuesday talks. Thank you. I do have a question about the Tint Keg. I'm a detailer. Want to buy from you. Can I use the kegs for? rinseless washes. You absolutely can. Um, Dave Bender sells the detail keg, so I've just been, I'm not one to step on toes, so I've been staying out of his playground. Besides that, I'm a tinner that's been tinting for 35 years, but we definitely can spray rinseless wash. It does a fine job. I would recommend getting the cone tip, and it's ready to go. You don't need the inline filter. You don't just get you a hose the length that you think that you need. I would recommend a 30-foot hose, and plastic or brass sprayer doesn't matter. Just get the cone tip, and I think that you'll be happy with a plastic cone tip. And we got a couple of cool wraps, so check those out. We got one that's a can of whoop ass, and one that says radioactive. And for detailers, I think the radioactive one is cute because when somebody sees you spraying that shit on their car, they might scratch their head and be like, "Oh my god, what are you doing?" And you can just laugh at them because it's just a wrap, but it's something to add a little spice to it. And yeah, 5 finger discount pricing. No, 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 Cash. That is not how that works. Definitely cone tip. For you could do a 3 or 5 gallon. Personally, I think it really is going to matter on the volume of cars that you're going to do. I would probably just say 5 gallon because you don't have to put 5 gallons in it. You could put 2 gallons in it or a gallon, whatever it's going to take you to do a car, just depending on how much volume you do. 5 gallons gives you the most ability to put as much as you need in it or as little as you need. Where if you limit yourself with like a 3 gallon and all of a sudden you're busy and you're doing a bunch of cars and you got to stop in the middle and fill back up, that kind of sucks. So yeah. What is the weight of each when full? So there's only about a 2 pound difference between the two, and your solution's gonna weigh about 8 pounds a gallon. In the 5 gallon, you're gonna put 4 gallons, so that's 32 pounds plus 15 pounds is 47 pounds. And in the 3 gallon, you're going to put 2 gallons, and because you want to leave that space for the air pressure so that you don't run out of pressure before you get to the bottom of the tank. And if you put 2 gallons in there, 16 pounds plus the 13 pounds, which is, I don't know, all of a sudden 16 and 13, 29. Yeah, sound good? Okay, cool. Um, so yeah, it's a lot lighter, because of your limitations with the 3 gallon. But again, if you only put 2 gallons in a 5 gallon, then it's going to be 31 rather than, and this is just me guessing, but it's going to be 31 rather than 29 pounds. And you always, like I said, have the ability to add more if your days get busier and you need more. So hope that helps. Um, Alex is still, oh, apparently somebody, this is what Alex is doing. I mean, I will figure out how to show you. Here we go. Let's go to security cameras. Oops. Let me hold on. Smaller so we can get Alex up here in the window. Alex is in there busting ass, making hose setups. And that's the other thing, too. All of our hose setups, everything we make from scratch. We don't buy the pre made store bought ones because, let's face it, oh, and he's done. Because they, they don't work for what we use them for. I mean, those are air hoses. The hose itself, the hose that we use, like that yellow one you saw, that's made by Kiriyama USA. And yes, I said USA. Most of their hose is made in Canada, though, and the hose that we sell is manufactured in Canada. but it's an American company and we like Canada. So, anyways, it's a far superior hose. Flexzilla is also, I believe, an American company. We sell that hose too, but the Flexzilla hose has a problem with the Flexzilla ends. They're aluminum. And if you've ever overexposed aluminum to water, you'll notice it gets this crusty white stuff on it. That crusty white stuff will flake off and actually get into your um, job. And um, on top of that, the inside of the aluminum connectors for Flexzilla is actually anodized or coated with a black coating. But we also learned the hard way that that coating flakes off in some cases and again pushes its way into your job. Now, the tips on each one of our sprayers does have a 200 mesh um, filter, but it's a very small filter. And once you get so much contaminant stopped by that filter, it starts pushing itself around the filter. So there's that. What's up, Shady? And yes, I think Dean would agree that US and Canada is almost the same. Up Legends. Yes, we've been doing well. Cash says, I have a lifetime. Me. Cash says he. So that's talking about me. Has a lifetime warranty. Yes. All of our kegs and sprayers have a lifetime warranty. That's not necessarily a lifetime warranty by the manufacturer, as a hose isn't going to have a lifetime warranty by any manufacturer because it's a wear part. But I just feel like it's in everyone's best interest if I take care of you, especially if the hose doesn't last the duration that it's supposed to. And it does. So that warranty doesn't hurt me a bit. And that's the other cool thing. The other thing that giving a lifetime warranty does for me is it keeps me accountable for the product that I'm selling you. So I see so many people in these groups on posts saying, I'll show you how to build one for $90. Well, I'll tell you, I can't build one for $90. Not the way that I build them, not with a lifetime warranty. That is just not possible. Not and I buy, some of the parts I buy 2,000 at a time, some of them I buy 500 at a time. And UPS is here already. Holy shit.
Are they really?
So I guess we can probably just I don't know, whatever. We can give them the packages. Screw them.
All right, I'll
If you
be back again.
So if you happen to order something beyond this moment, it won't get shipped out today because I don't know. UPS is broken. They stole my regular driver and now they got substitutes in because my regular driver is making airport runs for next day air for them and it's just all discombobulated. I got to get that worked out. The blue setup actually I believe is the best also. What's up, Jay? Um, My green hose don't roll up very well after using it for a time or so. Have mine for 2 years or more. Yeah, the green hose, it's not a bad hose. The reason I still sell it though, because I'll be honest with you guys, I pay more for the blue, yellow, and red hose than I do for the green hose. I sell them for the same price. And the reason I do that is probably because I'm stupid. But I believe that the reason I do that is because I want you guys to be a little more apt to buy the better hose. And if I charge more for it, one thing, Kuriyama is an industrial grade hose. And they nicknamed their own hose the Flexzilla Killer. And if you got to hold and handle both the Flexzilla and the Kuriyama at the same time, you would understand why. The Kuriyama is a more durable, thicker hose. It's a true half-inch round, quarter-inch inside diameter hose, which gives it a better, thicker wall than the Flexilla hose is actually a point 0.4 inch, so it's not quite a half inch outside diameter, but the inside is a quarter inch, giving you a thinner wall. So it's not going to hold up as well. But the Kuriyama is actually more flexible than the Flexilla hose. The reason I still hold on to the Flexilla hose and sell it is because their branding is on point and you guys keep asking for it. Otherwise, I would not sell it. I would only sell the Kuriyama hose because it's a better hose, period. So if you see anybody out there selling the Flexilla hose over any other hose, oh, and just because other people sell kegs with blue and red hose, they're not necessarily selling the Kuriyama hose. But that brings me to what the whole point is of this whole conversation, anyways. I got this thing. And I've actually talked to Eliu quite a bit about the parts that he's going to put into this thing because my belief is that if you're going to try to add a new product, like, I can't say it's a replacement product, but if you're going to add a new product that's similar to a product that's already out there, the one thing you want to do is make sure that if you get information for somebody I've sold over 5,000 tint kegs. Trust me, I know what's good parts. I know what's not good parts. And I'm not going to bullshit you guys about what bad parts are, what good parts are. If I tell you this is better than that, it's because it is. And if I'm trying to sell it to you that way, keep in mind I got the lifetime warranty. I'm trying to sell you a better part because I don't want to have to revisit a couple of years down the road and have to fix something for you. So I would rather. And with that being said, I only just to make I literally like 30 minutes ago opened the package that had my Tint Buster in it. And Eliu's been asking me, like, have you opened it? Have you tried it? Have you used it? And I'm like, no, I'm saving it for Tool Talk. I want to talk to people about it. But I want my experience with it on screen to be genuine, just like if you was to order it. And so I guess without further ado, what do you think, Alex?
I'm excited.
Are you
About
excited?
damn time.
I haven't let Alex touch him yet either. He's been curious, and I'll tell you a little secret though. I got shelves full of them right now that so I guess that's kind of a spoiler, isn't it? Because I'm not going to sell you something I don't believe in, right? Right? So
He wants to steal it. Dude, I wanted to steal the Flex really hard. I got pictures of all of them together and I wanted to be like, I don't know, one of my dumb jokes, like with the red dots or something. I don't know.
he's like, there's got to be something. So yeah, let's see if I got anything here because
Are you looking for security footage?
no, why would I
Oh.
do security footage? No, I was wondering if what is so when you walk in my front door, this is what you see at when you check in shop in. Oh, we got a tool delivery yesterday. That was dumb. This is another room. In the middle of the warehouse, we've got another big old box full of them. We've got one hiding in the corner just to try to catch somebody's eye. But yeah, so we got a few things going on here, and Bring Alex back up here for just a moment. I took a couple pictures too, Alex, but
Hell yeah.
you are the poster.
I don't know. I didn't post anything about it. I wasn't sure. I wanted you to be the one to post that. That's big stuff.
So I've been really excited because Lu has told me all about, we should have tried to get him on here, but he's such a busy person. Oh my God, he's got so much going on. Anyways, without too much further ado, I've got this thing. And so, like, be honest, the first thing I thought when it came to Alex, I'm gonna make you a little bit smaller. The first thing that I thought when it came to a backpack sprayer is nobody wants to climb in and out of a car with a backpack sprayer. But then I discovered that this thing is really not that big. And it's got a nice little hook here um, on the shoulder strap. So that's cool. But one thing that he does, a lot of people are like, oh, you can, and this is a theme in the groups. And I love it and hate it at the same time. I love it because it gives you guys a chance that have bought the products to jump in there and tell them how they're wrong about this or that being different. But like for instance, one little thing that he does, this see what that is right there? This is on the shoulder strap and this is an on-off button. So you just push it to turn it on, push it to turn it off. And that's great because back here, and I don't even know the configuration in here just yet, but back here, oh yeah, and it's got a USB phone charger right here. That's another thing that he sews in specially just so that we can, because your phone goes dead over the course of the day, and that's not good. So that's pretty cool. But let's see what he's got going on inside. So inside of here, we have, what is it? There's stuff going on in here. We have, it says Tint Buster on it with an on-off switch, a master switch. Lithium ion battery. Cool. And this is a 11.1 volt, 300 amp hour, or 3 amp hour battery. So that's cool. And it's got a USB right there, which I assume is for the charger. But I don't know because I haven't even ever looked at this. Oh, and there's the charging port. Okay, so that goes in here and that comes out here. And I would be willing to bet, because I happen to know how these things work a little bit sometimes, but I'd be willing to bet that you plug that in and forget it. And now you have a working USB out here to charge your phone. And I'd be willing to bet that you can charge the battery pack from there too, which is super cool. So that's that. Let's go inside of this other pocket. So now we're going to go into the second pocket and we have the pump. Now the pump is really cool because it's got a little nylon. Oh, shoot. Let me bring this up here. Or better yet, let's bring this over here. Let's see if I can do something a little bit different. We're going to try.
What's up, Shamal? What's up, Invasion? Invasion, I'm right here, bro. We're just hanging out. Should I have
HubSpot. There we are. Okay. And on this one, can I turn on front camera? I can. All right. So now, hold on. I wasn't prepared for this shot, but I think this is going to be a better shot. So we're going to just fix this real quick. You see the top of my head? Give me just 1 second. We are going to just make Alt. I had to remember how to do this. Okay, we're going to bring this up here, this up here. Come over just a bit more. And then we're going to bring me down just a little bit. There, we'll call that good. All right, so inside of here, we have a pump. This is actually a heavy duty. I've seen other guys' pumps. They're like dainty, little like cheap, and I'm not going to say who those other guys are, but let's just say that they weren't spending the money on that part of the product. This is a heavy duty pump. Like this is legit. Speaking of
It's a
legit, the
it's a
label on
monster.
the label on the pump says Tint Busters. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it is no. These cameras aren't made for that.
Tint Buster branded water pumps.
Yeah, and he had these. He said he started out with um 100 psi because he thought that that was the way to go, and he's been tinting along about as long as me. And I always told him, I'm like, you know what, my sweet spot's around 70. He's like, that's funny. That's what I actually settled on with my pumps is to have them set at 70 psi because that just it feels to me like the perfect amount. You got enough to rinse, but not so much that you're blowing the tin around. And I like that. But the first thing I noticed when I opened this is he's using the same stainless steel clamps that I use. So these will never rust, never corrode. It's not a worm gear clamp. And oh yeah, the other thing that I noticed though, so that part's really exciting. But the other thing I noticed is, let me see if I can get a piece of this here somewhere. The other thing that I noticed is I got a section of hose that does, oh, there it is. Can you guys read that? No. Get it closer. See what it says? Curry Tech. That's the same hose that I use as my upgrade. This is a nice, flexible, very soft, but durable hose. And then he uses the plastic sprayer. And one thing that people worry about with the plastic sprayer is what if you drop it? But the neat thing about this is you use a relatively short, this hose never touches the ground. And so you don't have to worry about that. So that's cool. And the other thing is, too, I found the industry's best swivel, and he uses the industry's best swivel. Um, the thing that's cool about these is the retainer ring inside of them is actually rubber. So it's only brass and rubber. There's no steel parts or no aluminum parts in there that's going to corrode or rust and cause problems down the road. And so far, so good. I this thing's pretty freaking sweet. So let's see what we got in here. Okay, so here's the bladder. Now that's pretty legit. That's I'm in the way. How do I get out of the way? So the bladder's got a quick disconnect on it. So I assume, and I don't know, but I assume that this guy right here, see that, plugs right here, which it does. But this is okay. So that's pretty simple. And how do you fill this thing up? How does this work? Does anybody know? I don't know. Oh, wait, open this way, lock that way. Okay, gotcha. So that comes right off. That's cool. And, and this, oh, dude, that is genius. So then you open this up. So you could actually get down in there and clean it out. So you, that's another thing I was worried a little bit about is what about getting buildup and stuff? So you just fill this back up and fold this over and, or does it go this way? It goes this way. Why are you laughing at me?
Because that is pretty genius.
Kind of is. So then this goes back over this edge and this like, and that just seals it. So there's no leaking. I wondered about that too. And this thing's pretty durable. And of course, Tint Buster. So this isn't just a guy in the back of his tint shop trying to put together some profitability. This is a guy who's got an investment made into a future endeavor. And as the owner of let me see if this actually is legit too. I don't know how any of this works, so bear with me, guys, please. I I'm learning. Oh no shit, that easy? It just snapped. Did you guys see that? Let me try that again. I pushed it. Oh my goodness, so that works a lot like ours does. This is the intake, and it just, oh my god, it just snaps right on there. Freaking convenient, guys. Dark Side says there's two cables to plug into the battery pack. I zip tied the two together to make it easier to plug in. Cool. Um, couldn't see you over there in a small corner. Oh, Alex. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in
I,
timeout.
yeah, I did put Alex in timeout. Only for a minute because we're trying to have the chat so that everybody on
Dude,
Facebook and um okay, let me, oh, this is so legit. That just kind of unplugs. I think I'm
he
making it harder.
says don't forget the water will stay in the line to the back, so be careful when changing bladders.
Oh yeah, I was noticing that it doesn't have a a check valve in that. So yeah, when you're changing the bladders, I would probably recommend taking the entire bladder out and having it off to the side when you disconnect it so you can empty your hose right there. Because the inlet hose, I don't know if you guys can see that right there, but there's no check valve in there. So when you take this out, you'll probably want it off to the side over here and then unplug this and then just let this drain out onto the floor. So that's pretty cool. And so is that it? Let's see, this goes in here. But wait, there's more. We've got a little waste pouch. And I wasn't even sure that I cared about this, but this is actually a good pouch. This has got a big pocket, a medium pocket, a hard card pocket, I guess another hard card pocket. Got all these little pockets, and then inside of here, it's got little slit pockets for like your knife or markers or paint pens or whatever kind of cheater tools you got. And it seems like it's got a pretty. This is a legit clasp, and the material feels really nice. I saw those Avery Dennison. Um,
Is
Let
it
me pop
the
this.
material comparable?
It's similar. I think it's a little bit lighter weight, but it's legit. So I
Yeah.
think honestly, and we'll take Alex out of timeout, but I think honestly, this is
I mean,
pretty legit.
good good pouch setup is not cheap.
And there's room in here. Like it just depends on how much you put in your pouch and how big you make it. But this, to me, it looks like it has enough room to carry your arsenal of tools. Now I'm not talking about because like I own a lot of tools and I need a toolbox to carry all my tools because I have some specialty stuff that I don't use every day, but I own them because if I happen to need it, I'm gonna want it. I'm gonna want to. Oh yeah, turn the pump off, trigger, and drain the line, no problem. Yeah, and I'm sure that's something that everybody will figure out real fast. But
Well, I got a storage curiosity. I wonder if you can comfortably fit a bulldozer, scrubber, and a slim foot all at the same time.
so the height of it, and those are like thin, but I think we should check that out, or maybe Darkside can tell us because he's got one, and I'm sure he's tried it. But for the guys that run around a lot, I do think that it's definitely a thing. And now here's the thing. So why is it that the maker and owner of Tint Keg has shelves full of this thing that seems like it would replace the Tint Keg? Well, here's the reason. This holds a 3-liter bladder And we will have bladders available, so you can actually get multiple bladders and set up a longer day. And you already saw how quick they disconnect and reconnect. So it's not like, you know, it's real cumbersome. But a 3 liter bladder, you're probably going to put about 2 liters, maybe a little bit more in, just for comfort. And that's going to be a lot like a poly sprayer. So you've got the capacity of a poly sprayer, but it's convenient and it's super cool, and you're not dragging a hose around with you. But if you got yourself, say you don't do that much tint, this is enough for one, maybe 2 cars, probably a car and a set of doors. I don't know. Maybe Dark Side can fill us in on that also. But you're not going to replace your tint keg with it. You still need the capacity of the tint keg for, say, for instance, you get a flat glass job and you've got 150 square feet to do today. Well, you're not going to do 150 square feet with that much solution. You're going to need more. And if you're on somebody else's site to do that, you're going to find yourself probably wanting a bunch of bladders, or you could just bring your tint keg. And the nice thing about the tint keg is you can set it off in the corner, and with like 30 foot of hose, you can do multiple windows with your keg sitting in one place and go room to room and not have to refill. So it's certainly not a replacement for the tint keg, but it absolutely can be your go-to for a lot of situations, and it's something that I believe that everybody's going to want. And we don't have it on the website just yet. LU is sending me some more goodies, and you also want to be careful when you purchase these anywhere. Um, there are versions of these out there with the green hose, and although the green hose is fine, the blue hose is better. So you want to make sure and get those from me, because why not? Besides that, I'm the one that brought this to you and told you all about it. So, um, I fill to 3 liters, Bolt Man, 1 ounce of tint slime, and get about 2 full cars and one, maybe 2 sets of fronts. Okay, that's see. So, I mean, it's a great option. It just is. I work alone and have 3 5-gallon kegs and have touched them maybe 5 times since the Tint Buster. Yeah, so I mean, obviously, your keg's something you're still going to want around, but sometimes the keg is overkill, and for the little things.
Mhm.
And Darkside says, I have the green hose. I need the blue hose upgrade kit. Haha. You do need the blue hose upgrade kit. And you know what? Because you got friends in the right places. And I happen to know a guy that has a few thousand feet of the blue hose. And oh, by the way, I don't know if LEU wants me telling you this or not, but because I buy this blue, red, and yellow hose by the pallet, I also supply Tint Buster with their hose because their source was not able to keep up with the demand. And I'm like, hey, I know a thing or two about demand and keeping up. If you want me to send you a reel, so he's already bought 2,000 feet of this hose from me because it's freaking phenomenal. And I do slide it sideways to him at cost because that's what we do. Well, maybe not all of us. We don't all sell shit to each other at cost, but I don't know. When I believe in somebody, I try to help them out. Um, Hold on to it for me. I will be ordering some stuff soon. Cool beans. And the cool thing is, because we sell much larger chunks of hose, these are 5 foot hoses. The we sell 25, 30, or 50 foot runs. So we have a bunch of little cutoffs that are shorter off of the rolls and or reels, and I don't let anybody throw them away. So we have a lot of extra pieces that are 5 feet, 10 feet, because for some reason, even though each roll is 500 feet, we can't seem to hit 25 feet exact or 30 feet exact. It's like 25 and a half or 31 feet. Or then we get to the end of the roll and we're scratching our head like, hey, so like this roll, I'm 3 feet short. And then we got a bunch of little pieces that we can cut off of that because it's not quite what we wanted it to be. So for sure. So I think that covers the Tint Buster, and I did that in 41 minutes, unscripted. Yay! So I don't know. I can get this thing out from over my head again because I don't need it. That was cool
Wait,
though. Wait, what?
so what are you doing with this backpack sprayer you have there? Just showing it, or are you going to sell them?
Well, it
Oh, hey,
just so
what's up, Dusty?
happens you must have came in a little late because yeah, I spoiled it in the beginning. I just couldn't. We're gonna sell them. We don't have them on the website now. If you want to call and pre-order, we would be happy to take your calls. We are, and probably the next day or so, going to get them up on the website. Just it's just me and Alex here right now. We got rid of Ryan, and that made us sad. And we just, it's like when your dog dies, you just don't run out and get a new dog. And I guess getting rid of Ryan was like our dog dying because we just didn't go out and get another Ryan. Is that a good analogy, Alex?
I guess.
But we have been talking about it, and we're probably going to go get two Ryans. And if they both work out, and I'm not saying, I mean, if they both work out, that's fabulous. If only one works out, then that's fabulous too. But, or maybe we should get a dog. Tallman says we should get a dog.
That looks like a
No,
cat.
is that a cat? I don't know what it
Yeah.
looks like. My eyes are not that good. It's definitely a four-legged creature. But yeah, we're
Does
definitely going to be selling them. Um, the current retail on these with the pouch and everything is $350 or $349.95, and we're going to be having them on sale for $299.95. But I might slide in a super stupid sale just because I'm excited. And unlike a lot of these companies, I don't. It ain't all about the money. I don't care what that Juicy J song says. It's not about the money. When I lived my life based on it being about the money, I had a much lesser quality of life. When I learned that it's all about helping people out and helping people advance and seeing what I can do for others, um, life got better. I do way more cool things. I see way more cool things. I get way more cool things, and I don't have to ask for any of those. They just happen. Rick Tellman's all about that bass, no treble, but How's the sample book for Helios flat glass looking? So Alex actually has sample sheets, but we haven't come up with a book yet because that's a whole new process. So like there's a couple different styles of sample books. Here's a Solar Guard one, and you notice it's got the what do they call this spine thing? It's got the coily thing going on anyways. So I don't even know where to get these or any kind of rings or any kind of a binder. I don't know where to get them. And then you got the pages with all the things telling you about the things. And I don't know how to make these. So this is something that I have to do or figure out how to do or hire somebody to do. If anybody knows of a company that does this stuff though and wants to forward that information to me, that would immensely speed up the process because God knows I get sidetracked too easy. Oh, Thomas says it's a cat. We should get a cat. Yeah. Does the Dark Side was asking a question about the NX350 having UV coating on the front windows? Brian Feltz said yes, if it's laminated. So that's good. Appreciate that information because I missed the question. So I'm glad you guys are taking care of each other on here too. Spiral notebook. Yeah. So I need to know where to get spiral notebooks made with special tints and informational stuff. And yes, I said tints. I don't believe in it, but I said it. Which I don't know why I'm so against the word tints. You know, I was thinking about that the other day. You know, that I saw that argument crop up online again one more time. And I'm like, well, tints ain't ever been a word. And then I thought to myself, ain't. When I was in school, ain't wasn't a word. Ain't was not in the dictionary. Ain't was something that we said. And I don't even know why we started saying it. But eventually, ain't got put in the dictionary. So I'm rebelling against this vocabulary revolution that didn't used to be it didn't used to be a real word, and then it became a real word.
No cussing in here, Cash.
Cash, why are you saying the bad words?
Why are you
What did he
saying bad
say?
words? He said, "Ain't that a bitch?"
Bitch. Now we're talking about dogs again.
Cats, cats.
Jordan says that he Shady says that he wet his tints. I need a cricket noise.
Dude, I need a coffee.
I
That
need something to
tastes
drink
decent.
too. You don't like that morning, Joe?
Dude, I don't know if we're just like not getting the ratio right or what, but like, dude, it's just so bitter when it's cold.
Yes, it's a very stout coffee. It is extremely stout. You can test a small part of the glass if you. Oh, we're still talking to each other. I try to stay away from the due to the possible hassle. Yeah, personally, you guys are talking about these UV coatings on windows and scratching them with a razor blade. And
I
I'll be
can't.
honest with you.
I think there's a video. I think it was actually Rick Tallman where he like scratched one and then
Oh yeah,
he had to scrape the whole window to take the whole window's worth of UV coating off just so it looked like normal.
yeah, and that is no fun. Oh my God, what's up, David? David Sen, I got to meet in person for the first time at the Tenor Battles. That was exciting. Sometimes putting faces to names is really cool. And Rick Tolman said it sucked. So here's my little secret: when I teach somebody to tint, I don't even teach them with a razor blade anymore. We don't scrape windows. See, one thing about being a tinner, and I know this isn't for all tinners, but see, if you're a window tinner, your hands should be nice and smooth, callus free, sensitive to the touch. Most windows don't have anything on them that needs to be scraped. So if you spray the window down and you rub your hand on it, if there's anything that needs to be scraped off, you can feel it. I mean, let's face it, we're putting window tint on a piece of glass. We don't use a razor blade when we wash our dishes. We'll get we'll get a little chiseler out or whatever it is that we use to scrape off certain pans and stuff that have stuff just caked on them that we can't get off. But otherwise we use a sponge or our hand, right? And we put food on that and put it in our mouths. And it's clean enough for that. And trust me, go clean a window, spray it, wipe your hand on it, and tell me if you feel anything. And if you feel something, that's the area you concentrate on. And you'll be amazed at how you can get a clean window without scraping a window. And I know this is going to be controversy. I don't talk about this in public because so many people think that you have to scrape a window like 4 times before it's clean. And I just don't get it because, um, let's see, it would have been 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Back in about 2008, a guy that I had trained back in like, I guess I was probably right around 2000. He went off on his own and he came by the shop, and we ended up hiring him at that shop. But he came by the shop and he laughed at me. He's like, "Oh, you're still scraping windows?" I'm like, "How else do you clean them?" He's like, "Look, man, rub your hand over that window. Tell me what you feel." I'm like, "Nothing." He's like, "All right, make sure you rub over everything. Pretend it's something you're going to, like a plate that you're going to eat off of. Make sure you get the whole surface." He says, "Okay, now just wipe the top edge and then squeegee it off and rinse your edges." He said, "Now lay your film." So I did, and it was clean. Went to the next window. He's like, "You gonna scrape this one?" I'm like, "No, I'm gonna try that thing." And I sprayed it, and I could feel stuff on it. I'm like, "I feel stuff on it." He says, "So rub back and forth like you're doing dishes." And I did, and all of a sudden I couldn't feel anything on the window anymore. He's like, "All right, wipe the top edge and squeegee the window, rinse your edges, and lay the film." And I'm like, "Really?" And that was, right around 2008 was when I learned that I could tint cars, full cars, in under an hour by myself. He's like, "Do you realize how many redundancies we do and how many things that we do that are absolutely are not necessary?" He's like, "The only reason you scrape a window is to make sure you got everything off. But if you got sensitive baby hands like a window tinter should have, you should be able to feel anything stuck to that glass and know if you need to spend any extra time." So from then, instead of buying, 100 pack of razor blades a month, I started buying 100 pack maybe a year. And the amount of time that saved me without affecting the quality of my tint job just blew my mind. And so that's something, if you get an opportunity, give that a shot. Look for, just before you pull out anything to scrape the window, wet it, rub it, feel it, see if you can find anything wrong with it, and then lay a pattern on it. Don't forget to wipe, take your towel and wipe the top edge and squeegee it and rinse the sides like you normally would. But you just might be surprised. Um, Darkside said he messed up a Venza window and it took an hour to dry scrape. Yeah, we got a picture. I got your signature. You got my signature? I don't sign very many things, but I do. I feel like I remember signing something for you. But I really don't sign very many things. I just caress my windows with my wet fingers. So you wet your tints and you wet your fingers?
Yeah.
I just squeegee it off and rock on. I usually only scrape windows 05 and below. Yeah, you'll be amazed. And think about it. We don't scrape back windows because they got defrosters. So then, back in my day, we used to use like a double out or triple out steel wool. And then we didn't like that because it left little metal hairs here and there that we might mess and get in the job. And that really just blows chunks. And so then we go to the white scrubby, and then you learn that maybe you could just, on the back window, it's a little different though. You can't rub your hand up and down the window because the defroster lines when you rub your hand up and down them, they're going to fool you, and you might have something stuck to the window like a little piece of tape from a temporary tag or something, and you might not notice it because your hand has become accustomed to that going over the defroster lines. So on the back window, you want to rub your hand side to side so that you can feel the smooth spots in between. Otherwise, you're going to miss shit. But The other secret with a back window, because it is so large and sometimes it's uncomfortable in the position you have to be in to clean it, that you might not be focusing as much on the touch sensation. When you squeegee it, just let your eyes follow your squeegee. You'll see things that you miss, because if there is a bump on the glass, it's going to leave a little wet spot in that one very spot where it goes over the bump. And if you're following the squeegee with your eyes, you'll see that little wet spot it leaves behind. Those are a couple huge tricks that if you integrate them and be able to, and don't get me wrong, not every tinner has a good sensation or sensitive touch in their fingertips. Not everybody can do this. And if you can't feel stuff stuck to the window, I do not recommend this. That's like asking a blind person to go without his cane. You know, if you've never been there before, you better have something to bump into shit before you get there. I was taught to scrape every window, but also learned in South Carolina where we got old junk and mud trucks. Now I primarily tint new vehicles, so I typically just squeegee and tint on. Look, so I'm in the Motor City, and this is home of the big three. And any of you guys that have ever had to tint an old Cherokee, like an XJ or something, you guys feel my pain when there's all rubber seal windows, no borders. But yeah, I get and around here, there's plenty of mud, because that's what they do with those things. They take them out and get them as dirty as freaking possible. And then bring them to me to get a tint job because they're tired of driving around a fishbowl. And I don't scrape those windows because the mud and stuff gets caked in the seals, the age. I don't care how dirty you get it. If when you rub your hand over the wet window, you cannot feel anything stuck to the glass, and you can feel stuff when it is stuck to the glass, that's my disclaimer. Because if you can't feel, you just can't feel. But if you can feel and you don't feel anything, it's not there. There's no reason to scrape it. Did you review the Tint Buster yet? I absolutely did. Did you show up late to the party, Shady? I'm just saying.
Oh man.
Oh, you know what? I started taking notes a little bit. I got many notebooks. I got this notebook, which is for one thing, and it's purple. I got this blue notebook here though, that's for something else. And I wrote something down because funny little story. And I always we're gonna try to start doing this more often, is writing little notes, because we stumble across things that just make you say, sometimes a lot. And Alex remembers this one, but he's the one that took the phone call. But we get a phone call. Dark Side said it was a 41-minute review and you missed it. it, it was. I went over everything that I could find. And what are you shitting? He's shitting. Oh, his woman's here. Oh, it's 5:00. Oh my God, we're gonna lose Alex. But anyway, so I'll tell this story real quick, because customer calls and he yells at Alex, you want to tell the story? I mean, you lived it. I'm third party information. You know which one
What,
I'm talking
today?
about? No, the guy with the squeegee blades.
Squeegee
The
blade?
difference between cropped and beveled.
Oh yeah, dude. So a guy called to let me know that I made a mistake in his order because I sent him the straight ones and not the beveleds, and I'm just kind of like, well, we were talking about orange crushes, and there's no square orange crush, so it's either beveled or cropped, and he didn't mention anything about crop, so I had this weird feeling. So I'm asking him like, so which one were you supposed to get? The beveled, the ones with the corners off. And I'm like, oh. And, we just had that good 10-minute talk about the difference between beveleds and crops.
So yeah,
And he admitted he bought the wrong ones.
Alex educated him and showed him how to figure it out. But so here's the thing. If you go to the Orange Crush on sundistributingdirect.com, you'll notice you got two options, beveled and cropped. And if you select beveled, it's going to show you one picture. If you select crop, it's going to show you a different picture. It's going to show you what you're selecting. So, because before that, before we figured out we could do that, um, we put words up there to try to explain to you the difference between beveled and cropped. And also, if you go through the pictures, we have pictures labeled with one's cropped, one's beveled, or something. I don't know. It was a big project that we had Alex do. But on my notepad, I wrote down just so I could remember. I said, I understand if I can't get you to read the words, but if I can't get you to look at the pictures, we're all screwed. I mean, I do the best I can.
All right. With that, I'm out of here.
All righty. We'll see you next time. Oh, he kept talking. We'll even move that. Um, yes, the True Spray system does have more pressure than the backpack sprayer. So here's a challenge I'll give you, anyways, because pressure is a relative term. It's kind of like what shade is the tint? Because if you think about it, um, you can do 35% on one window and it doesn't even look tinted. But if you do the entire car, including the windshield, with 35%, it looks pretty damn dark, doesn't it? Okay. So that's the illusion of tint shades. You know, it fools our mind into thinking one's darker than another, even though it isn't. Same thing with a dark interior versus a tan interior or a light cream interior. That's going to change the effect too. On these pumps, I've done a lot of research on these pumps because obviously I'm not going to just buy a product and sell it on my website that I can't get behind. And on these pumps, they have pressure ratings. And what that pressure rating is the shutoff point. When the when this pump reaches 70 psi, the pump shunts off. When you squeeze the trigger, if you were to put in, maybe I'll do this. I'll put an inline. Um, I'll have to get one of those other ones too. We can do a comparison because that way we'll know. But when you squeeze the trigger, it lets pressure out the end, and that pressure coming out the end isn't 70 or 100 psi, because at 70 or 100 psi, respectfully, the pump would just shut off and then it would stutter. It doesn't stutter. Each pump is only capable of doing what it does. The pumps are actually set and regulated at a specific setting. Well, that's not entirely true, because if you buy a pump in bulk and you don't ask for any specifics, you just get the pump that that person is selling. If you do like Tint Buster does and you order a pump designed a specific way for a specific reason, then you get to tell them, look, I want it to do zero point 0.9 gallons a minute, and our sprayer tips are only capable of doing like 0.27 gallons a minute. So it's well over what our sprayer tips are able to do. So I'm curious as to see if it truly is more, or if we just have the belief that it's more because that's the shutoff point. But no electric pump runs and operates at the advertised rate because that's the shutoff point. I don't know if that makes sense. But definitely the true spray system is definitely a cool thing in its own right. But again, it still presents the same problem as this size variable. You know, and with the backpack sprayer, we're talking about the fact that it's very small, it's very confined, or it doesn't take up a lot of space, and it does a fantastic job with being portable, mobile, and I don't know. I'm a seller of Tint Kegs, so I've got 1.75, 3 gallon, and 5 gallon kegs. But when it comes to the size and the space requirement, I can't compete with that, you know. And no, I can compete with the volume thing, and also to put an electric pump on my keg. I personally don't understand the need for a $300 or $400 pump, or even an Amazon $30 or $40 pump, when I can just have a little tire inflator and pressurize it, and then when I go into somebody's home or anything, I don't have this thing going bzz every time I squeeze the trigger. I developed a electric sprayer that is on wheels with a telescoping handle and 5 gallon capacity and an onboard charger and everything. And I used it. And one thing that I noticed is every time I squeeze the trigger in a customer's house, the customer turns their head to see what the hell that noise is. And I don't have that problem with my Tint Keg. So I have that sitting in the other room, and it works phenomenally. But And Billy says portables burn out. I still have my portable from 2003, Billy, and it didn't burn out. But you're hard on stuff. I've seen your videos, Billy, and congratulations for having anything last. You're amazing. No, seriously though. Jeremy, you're late, and this is probably one you're going to want to go back and watch because it just is. The new ones do look pretty. Where did you go? Sweet. Tim, the new what looks pretty sweet. Backpack's great when working on ladders. That is very true too. Obviously, if you're going to go on your own out on an install like that, and you're going to be climbing up and down ladders, you probably also will want something with volume. And I am pushing Eliu to make a conversion for the sprayer to plug into a tint keg. He's not interested in selling kegs, and I told him that's fine. I'll sell kegs. I already sell kegs, so we're good there. But imagine having something that you could just unplug and plug in real quick to a connector that fits on a keg. And imagine being able to unplug the hose and hook it to an extension and be able to hang your backpack on your keg for those larger jobs. If an electric pump is really what you want. But yeah, bigger jobs will require a keg, but smaller jobs, backpack is the way to go. It is true. I mean, I've been telling people for years that you might want to get a smaller, a 5 gallon keg's great, but you might want to get a smaller one for those quick turnaround jobs. So yeah, I mean, if you got a say you've got a collision shop, they just got done with a car and they had to replace a door and the windows were tinted and they just want you to come tint one window. How great would it be to grab your backpack and just run, versus a 5 gallon keg? And that's why I told people, it's nice to have, and you can buy just the tank, a little 1.75, and you can plug your hose setup from one tank to another. So it's not like you have to buy 3 full-fledged units. You could buy a 3 gallon, a 1.75 gallon, and a 5 gallon, and use the one that the day requires or the job requires, rather than. Matt says he loves his 3 gallon on wheels. And speaking of wheels, though, I haven't given. Oh, I'm missing it. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, it's gone. Somebody stole it. It's gone. Alex is gone. I can't even yell at him and ask him where it went. Oh, I found it. Never mind. Oh, hey, Alex is gone. I don't need this anymore. Um, oh, it's like invisible. But yeah, open up the portal and out comes the Scuttle Shuttle. Scuttle Shuttle's awesome, guys. I love it. And I need to tighten this one up. I just put it together for a video and then I've held on to it ever since. So that's hilarious. So all the wheels are finger tight. But yeah, Scuttle Shuttle is cool because it's 16 inches around, which is nice because it gives it stability. And then it's got a top neck to keep your keg from falling over. The whole thing has to fall over if anything's going to fall over. It's got rollerblade wheels on it instead of little dinky, um, like like shop chair wheels. Those catch on things and it'll tip over. Plus, it's got this cool little handle here that you hang your hose and sprayer and everything on, and that can make it squeak. You guys probably can't hear that. So that thing's pretty freaking awesome. And we sell a few of those too. Those are on the website as well. Um, oh, Matt, you don't have a scuttle. What do you? Wait a minute. Took a stool, cut off stool part, and mounted one. Oh, that's creative. I'm not hating that, but obviously, if you just got a stool, then you don't have the wheels like this has. The base of this, I don't know how big the base of the stool is, but this is nice because, again, it's a 16-inch base. It's got 5 wheels under it. I lied. It's got 4. Yeah, it's got 4 wheels. I lied. Um, and it's got a ring up top to keep the keg itself from being tippable. So you have to tip over the entire cart if you're going to tip it over. So, um, yeah, scuttle shuttles are on the website. It is made out of welded acrylic 100%. So here's the handle. And as you can see, it's clear and it's cool and it's all acrylic. Um, Fusion Tools actually got involved. Not by they didn't do anything. They just supplied a source for the handle up here. So these are the handles from the Fusion short and shorty handles. So there's that. And JD says I saw someone pushing it over uneven concrete and now I need one. Yeah, so we were so infatuated with the wheels, we actually got that style of wheels for all of our office chairs too. And they roll so well. You know how your office chair you get a little piece of dirt or something, you go to slide or roll, or the same thing with your stool in the shop. It catches on something, and you hear it just like a little pebble, and it's like across the floor. And yeah, these wheels don't do that. These wheels just roll over shit. They'll roll over your extension cord, everything. So. But one thing we notice is a lot of people are like $250. Oh, geez, I should be able to. No, you ain't going to be able to just make this for cheaper. This is actually laser cut, polished edges. It's a gorgeous unit. It's just absolutely beautiful. And they're now shipping. They're in stock. So we would like to definitely get you one of those. Roller around stool from Harbor Freight until can get a scuttle shuttle. There you go. Um, Trying to read messages, hiccup and talk at the same time. Thanks, Jeremy. Remember, 90% of all the tools we have now are created by tinners for tinners. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize, but Fusion Tools actually owns a tint shop. And for months and months and months, they test a tool before releasing it. And they manufacture everything right here in the United States. Pro Tools now has a little clique that I can't seem to find myself getting into of tinners that test their tools before they bring them to market. And same thing with Tri-Edge Tools. Tri-Edge Tools actually has a window tinting company that tests all their stuff before bringing them to market. And they also do wraps, and that's why they're getting into wrap tools now too, is because they have the ability to test them. One thing I can say about the things that we bring in from China, we don't get to test them until they get here. And we got to be careful of who's testing what, because some people just test the profit margin and they're like, oh, yeah, I can make bank on this. And not everybody can do that. So, unfortunately, for people like me, because you notice a shop full of, I don't have a shop full of, or a warehouse full of Chinese tools. I don't order Chinese tools to sell via profit margin. I've talked about it a few times, and every single time I talk myself out of it. But one thing that I learned is that by doing that, I'm not, what was I thinking? By doing, by not doing Chinese tools, it makes it hard because there's a lot of tools that I don't have that you're like, hey, so and so has this. Do you have it? Can you get it? I was asked that today and I had to tell them flat out that is a China direct product, that we have plenty of products just like it here that are made by the US companies. And so I'm not going to jump on board with a China product, even though that I know that I can buy that particular product for dirt cheap and it's selling for as much or sometimes more than its American counterpart. So think about it. I mean, Fusion Tools, I make next to nothing on it. But because a lot of these bigger distributors and suppliers, see, I'm not a big distributor and supplier. I might have 1,200 SKUs, which seems huge, but like 44 Tools, they got 1,700 SKUs. So my goal is to be there one day, but I'm not going to do it with Chinese knockoffs. I'm not going to do it with profit margin based stuff. And for that, I might be able to use a little bit of help from you guys in supporting that, because like Fusion Tools was a distributor only company until last year. And last year they started their website, and you can go to fusiontoolstore.com and buy Fusion Tools if you wish. And the reason they did that is because a lot of their bigger companies are buying a lot less of their tools because they're promoting the profit margin stuff, the Chinese stuff. And that's decreasing their sales. Now, don't get me wrong, I buy a shit ton of Fusion Tools and sell a shit ton of Fusion Tools every year. But for a company like that to manufacture everything in the United States, there's a lot of money that goes into tooling and the materials and the production and then the warehousing and the packaging and the shipping and the branding, and all that stuff adds up, and a lot of us don't realize it. And so by the time it gets to me, there's not a lot of profit. There's not a lot of meat on the bone. And companies that are just doing it for the profit, they're like, well, why would I sell Fusion Tools if I can just order cases of these for pennies on the dollar from China and have them branded the way that I want to, and they look just like it? And then I can sell it for as much, nearly as much, or even sometimes more if I brand it properly. And their thought is dumb tinners don't know any better, and they're going to boast about these wonderful Chinese tools, but they're collectively putting companies like Fusion Tools and Tri-Edge Tools and such in a predicament, and could potentially, I mean, look at our steel manufacturing. See, I'm old enough to remember when there were fucking steel mills everywhere in the United States. I'm in Detroit. We don't have steel mills anymore. And we had buku steel mills. And the reason? Because you can buy Chinese steel a whole lot cheaper and nobody knows the difference until it rusts. And then we learned that we could treat them differently, and they would rust less. So then we got past that. But when we had American steel, our economy was good. Why? Because we manufactured stuff here. We bought stuff with our money and gave the money back to American manufacturers. Now we buy stuff with our money and they give our money to China. And we wonder, we think that it's our government that's making bad choices. And don't get me wrong, our government makes bad choices. But we first are making the biggest bad choices because we're supporting China when we don't have to. Now, there's a lot of areas in the world that we have no choice because we've sold ourselves out of manufacturing that here. And that money is gone for good, and we have to buy the Chinese products. But when we don't have to, we need to take it upon ourselves to make a choice. Do I want to buy a $13 Fusion handle or do I want to buy a $12 Chinese handle? I'll tell you, the $13 Fusion handle, I pay like $9 or $10 for it. That's all I make on it. If I bought the identical looking on camera Chinese handle, the exact same handle, I can buy for 90 cents a piece. Now, tell me who's got credibility in this industry. I'm not doing this for profit. And there is nothing I do for you guys that has got profit in mind. If it did, I would be buying a whole lot different and I would be selling exactly the same way. And I don't do that to you guys. One time, we got this opportunity back in 2017 to become a distributor. It was the coolest thing. And we were like, we need a name. You know, not many people ask me, how'd you come up with Sun Distributing? But I'm going to tell you anyway, because looking back on it, it really is a reflection of who we are and what we do. We were looking for something that had kind of rolled off the tongue and we could pin to a good acronym. And that's hard. But we came up with Sun Distributing because we came up with Solar United Network. We are a network of people, just like I'm sitting here today talking to you about what a lot of people would call a competitive product, the Tint Buster. I don't see it as a competitive product. Is it going to help me sell less tint kegs? Probably. Am I going to make a lot of money from it? Absolutely not. Am I going to help a fellow tinner in the industry? Yeah. And what do they call that? That's networking, baby. And Radar, I'm not supposed to share things discussed in Radar, but I don't care. They can kick me out if they want to. It was announced that one of our partners has located a new spot that is going to be huge for 2023's family reunion. Huge. Like, I don't know, 20, 30,000 square feet. Huge. All the amenities, everything there. They got some I's to dot and T's to cross, and I'm not involved in that part of it. I hope it works out, but it looks promising. That's networking. That's getting together, sharing ideas, dreams, and allowing somebody else to help. And stupid cool, stupid cool. Um, Solar United Networking. If any of you guys have known me for any period of time, you know that I'm all about unity. I am all about supporting every tinner in this industry, regardless of where they are on their path. Some people have struggles. I got approached recently by somebody that purchases tools from me and told me that if I support this such and such person, they will stop buying tools from me. I need to boycott that person or they will no longer buy tools from me. And I had to explain to him, and I even took a screenshot in case I felt like sharing it, but that's a little tasteless. So I just told him, look, I support each and every one of you guys no matter where you are, and this person may be in a bad spot, and it's not for me to judge. So if you need to go somewhere else and buy your stuff, and by the way, this person I'm supporting does not buy tools from me. He does not buy film from me. He doesn't buy anything from me. And I told this guy that does buy from me that if he needs to shop somewhere else because of that, I'm okay with that. And I didn't get in a fight with him, and we didn't go back and forth. And um, he didn't post screenshots of my conversation because I kept it real. You know, he didn't find that button with me. But yeah, I'll run my business the way that my morals and my belief. Why are you up here? My morals and my belief tell me is the proper way to do it. And yeah, Ryan says I missed the reunion last year. I won't this year. Well, one thing I noticed from, that last year was the first year of the family reunion and I didn't get to go. I sent Alex instead. And this year I did get to go to the Tinner battles. And one thing that I learned from Tinner battles, because now I've consecutively been to all three, is each event gets bigger and it is amazing to watch them grow. For the longest time, the only real true industry wide without ice, without, what's the word I'm looking for, without exclusion has been the WFCT window tinting conference and tin off, put on by Window Film Magazine and sponsored by the IWFA, and that's been cool and that's been huge. But now it looks like we've got two other events that are going to climb right up beside them and give us some flavors, some options. And the cool part is all three of them are different from each other. They're not competing with each other. I mean, they might be trying to think about competing with numbers, like what kind of turnout can we get? And that's cool because grow that shit, make it bigger. One thing that I learned is looking back over previous years is you can see your growth and gauge your tomorrow by your past decisions. You can see that something didn't work out and your tomorrow can be done differently because that didn't work out. The other thing is if you look back at your past and you see that that did work out, that's something you can carry with you and know with confidence that that's what you're supposed to do. Reunion and Tinner battles are on the list this year. Hopefully make it to one, if not both. My recommendation is to make it to every one you can. A lot of people, I hear people that's never been to one. Oh, I don't see why you would go to one of these things, blah, 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 blah. That's cool with zero experience. You keep telling us how you feel. Nothing I love more than to hear someone's opinion that has zero experience with what they're talking about. Um, oh, yeah, shut the fuck up. Simple as that. Go to, and okay, so I'm coming up on the 29th. I will have been 14 years without a mind altering substance in my body. Y'all can take that for what it's worth. But one thing I was taught in the beginning when I was trying to get away from those things, when I was introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 steps therein, is based on my opinion, I saw enough people go to AA and not get better that I didn't want to do the 12 steps because I didn't think it would work. Now, also, the 12th step clearly states having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we carry this message to other alcoholics and practice these principles in all of our affairs. Now, the funny thing is, I thought, what audacity this book has telling me that I'm going to have a spiritual experience as the result of these steps. They don't know me. And besides that, they're all dead. My sponsor told me to shut the fuck up. What experience do you have working those other 11 steps? Why don't you, let's do these 11 steps real quick. I'll get you through them in a couple of weeks, he says. And then if you don't have a spiritual experience and you don't, have anything you want to tell others about, you can tell them whatever you feel because you will have experience with it. So me being the cocky ass I was going to prove them wrong. And I did those 12 steps. And 14 years ago, that shit changed my life. And it turned me into the person you guys know today as Sun Distributing. I run my life based on what I learned in that. I haven't I haven't had to say no to drugs or alcohol in almost 14 years. I haven't had to make a decision not to use in 14 years because something about the way that that taught me that I didn't want to do changed the way that my mind works. And the 12 steps says we practice these principles in all our affairs. And as my sponsor pointed out to me, all means all. So when I start a company, my point is to be useful to you guys and do the best that I can. And thanks, Matt. I'm a little less excited. You know, after 14 years, and not 14 hard years, not 14 years of waking up every day praying to God that I don't drink or use today. I don't do that. You know, I asked God a long time ago to keep me sober. And he gave me a pathway to a different way of living that automatically keeps me sober. I don't need to ask him every day. Could you imagine, like, getting in your car every day and praying that it starts? I mean, if you do oil changes and spark plugs when you're supposed to, brake jobs, your car's just going to start because it's designed that way. And God designed me to succeed in sobriety so I don't have to ask him every day to keep me sober. How cool is that? And that's what I try to do for you guys is share my experiences. You know, a lot of these tool talks are just BS sessions because if you guys got a struggle you're having, I've probably had this struggle and um, did well with it. If you guys have a question about something that you haven't experienced, there's a good chance I've experienced it, you know? And if you guys are trying to take an adventure and you're scared, I could probably share with my experience whether or not you should be scared. And speaking of which, if your dreams don't scare the shit out of you, you're not dreaming big enough. But you by yourself are never going to make your dreams come true. It always takes a network. So, who are you going to surround yourself by? The guy selling you Chinese products at American prices? Or this guy here that's selling you American products at the best fucking price he can actually manage to stay in business with, charging you only $10 in shipping to give you UPS ground up to $150, and I'll handle the shipping costs above that. And if you look at my prices compared to bigger places like well, any place, my prices are as good or better than anybody, and I sell exactly the same product. And did you know that I am a Fusion Tools master distributor? So if you've got a little side gig and you want to sell Fusion Tools for a profit, you can buy them from me and I'll sell them to you for wholesale. But we're going to have some minimum quantities, so we can discuss that too. Yeah, so I don't know. I went off on a rant probably because I meant to go get something to drink before I started the tool talk, but there's other things going on and I was answering phones and getting off the phone and it was 5 or 4 and I had to hit start and I didn't go do that. And now I have, like, coincidence or not, I was actually on Sun Distributing's website putting a cart together when you went live. I don't know, Ryan, but I don't see your name on here very often, so maybe it wasn't a coincidence. Maybe you were put here for a reason. Rodney McClure is in the house. What's up, Rodney? Building relationships instead of building walls goes a long ways. 100%. And one thing Rodney can probably testify to. See, me and Rodney, we've had a love-hate relationship like for a long, long time. Rodney is a guy that, who knows, maybe he's a little too much like me for me. And then when Rodney does something I don't agree with or I do something he doesn't agree with, then it kind of rubs the other the wrong way. I have never dissected it, but I do know that there is something there because, you know, I appreciate Rodney more ways than I ever tell anybody. And Some days I absolutely think he's like the worst thing on the planet. And then when I look back and I'm like, why is he the worst thing on the planet? I don't have a good answer for it. I just know that he wasn't doing things the way that I would have done them. And that doesn't make you bad. I think, if anything, it probably makes me arrogant. So, something I probably ought to look at. Lauren says, so do you think it should be world champs or Tinner Battle tag team champs? It doesn't matter, Lawrence, because honest to God, I'm the best in the world and I'm not willing to prove it. So y'all can call each other whatever you want. Anybody getting butt hurt over it, I'm sorry, but like, get over yourself. Go help someone. Trust me, that's the answer. That's awesome. I also have a family member who turned away from drugs after almost 24 years and hasn't looked back yet. Not everyone gets out, but those who do and embrace the second chance learned. Yes, and honestly, dude, 100%. I wasn't ready until I was ready, and I almost died to get where I got. I got sober 5 weeks, 4.5 weeks, 3.5 weeks. I don't know. Math isn't working for me right now. About 25 days after a suicide attempt is when I actually got sober. Because deep down inside, I honestly really believed that I preferred to do drugs or drink or any mind altering substance that took me away from the way that I felt at the moment. Until one day I tried to off myself. I just didn't, and don't get me wrong. I got a house on the hill overlooking the lake, 2 cars in the garage, a boat beside the house. I mean, I had everything that everybody would ever want. I was a fucking window tinner, God damn it. I made my own rules. But that day I realized that my life wasn't ever going to be what I wanted it to be, and I tried to end it, and I got caught. And after I sobered up and came through, because, of course, I was half in the bag when that happened, Mary had suggested to me that it was all the drinking and shit that I was doing that was making me feel that way. And, I don't know if you guys have ever lost anybody to suicide. I've lost like 3 different friends over my life to suicide. Not one of those times could I wrap my head around how it could get so bad you'd want to end your life. But yet there I was, just on the other side of a suicide attempt. And she said it was the drugs and alcohol that was causing me to feel that way. And looking back, I had been drinking and drugging an awful lot over the past few months, and I think she was right. So for the first time in my life, not for the judge, not for the woman, not for the job, but for me, I quit for good and for all. I wasn't going to do it again because I don't want to die. I don't want to be like one of my buddies that succeeded. I want to be the guy that found a reason to live. And I was 25 days in, and I can't give you a logical reason, but on that particular night, and it was a good day at work, and the kids were talking to me again, she liked me again, and we're sitting there watching some TV show, and I just couldn't get comfortable, and my mind told me that a small glass of vodka would get me comfortable. And about a half a gallon later, I found myself in, well, a half a gallon later, I didn't find myself in jail. But after I slept it off for a while, I woke up in jail. And when I found out why I was there, all of a sudden I could remember why I wasn't never going to drink again. And I just couldn't fucking believe that I drank again. And that was the first time that I was scared enough to go ask somebody for help. And that's what it took for me to get to a place where I admitted that I was going to drink again, whether I liked it or not. There was nothing I could do to stop it. And that's how I found AA. But that was, well, on the 29th, that'll be 14 years ago. So uh, Lawrence loves Rodney. Can't wait to meet him in person. I've almost met Rodney so many times, I've never actually met him. Let's see. I'm an inspiration. That's cool. And honestly, have took your advice to heart to get me through. Still trying to run my business solo. Running your business solo. One thing that I learned over the years. See, another thing that a lot of people don't realize about me is for 22 years of my career, I worked for somebody, and I know that's not popular today. The popular thing today is before you even cut a piece of film, you should probably buy a plotter and just go all in and start your own business. Fuck the man. I'm not working for the man. But I'll tell you something, in 22 years, what I learned is I learned that I got to focus on just being the best tinner I could be and not having to worry about how to get customers in, not having to worry about how to run payroll or run a business all by myself. But one thing that I learned is that none of those successful businesses that I ever worked for was a one man show. The last company I worked for was just going to be two of us, and the owner left me there by myself almost every day. And it was a constant struggle. And compare that to all the other places that I worked that actually had counter people. Some had phone people on top of counter people. And different, if we sold different things, we had different people in the shop that did different things. We didn't have that one guy that did everything. And those were the successful shops. And what I learned from that is the more people we had to do more tasks, the more time we had to do the task, and the more money the shops made. So picture this: in 2011, I lost my last job and decided after 22 years, I'm going to try to start working for myself. Now, I kind of partnered up with somebody for the first year and a half, 2 years, and then he bailed on it, and it became up to me to put together a company. And we weren't doing too terrible, we weren't doing great. So from 2013 until 2017, the reason I was able to become a distributor is because we became Michigan's largest automotive tint company. I developed a way that we could run a business. We did about 6,000 cars a year, and we turned about $1 million a year between six of us. Not great money. We didn't have any money for Tint Squad, which is the name of my tint shop, but we did enough money for everybody. And again, I'm sober at this time, and this is my way of living. And every one of the tinners, and we had an office girl that answered the phones, did the scheduling, collected the money, did the payroll, and she got 10% of it. And so she did well. The tinners did really well. I was also a tinner along with them, so I did really well. We all made good money, and it didn't matter what the business did. But then I realized how frickin' prima donna and greedy tinners are. And so as they would leave to go get 100% of the money, because that became the fad around Facebook, is that, oh, why would you make anybody $1? I had one of my tenors broke a windshield, and I didn't get any money from him. We were wholesale for different shops around the area. And if ever you want to learn how to put this together, I'd be glad to share the formula with you. My opinion is it's more headache than it's worth, but we were wholesale for shops around the industry. We had our certain price we had to hit, and this actually worked out really good because when we started, it was about $165 a car was the average around here, and nobody talked about ceramic. By 2017, customers come in asking for ceramic, and we didn't have to talk about it. Also, because we only charged 60% of the ticket when we started, and we needed X amount of dollars, that forced the different companies that wanted to use us into raising their prices so they could create the margin that they wanted or the profit that they wanted out of their bay and to pay for their salesperson that worked up front. So by 2017, we're at 219 a car from 2013 at 165 a car. And that 239 was for dyed film, and we also had carbon and ceramic. And almost 50% of our jobs up here in Michigan, the cold state, were carbon jobs, and maybe 10% of them were ceramic jobs. So about 40% of them were regular dyed jobs. We were making money. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But again, and so they would get 40%. the office girl would get 10%, and the tinner would get the other 50%. And there was nothing left over for me. I earned my own money. And so $1 million a year really didn't amount to anything more than what I could tin every year. And so as the tinners started leaving, I started realizing there's better places for me. But one thing was I created the buying power to buy the film for all the tinners. And so they bought it through me. So by default made me a distributor. But then Anita Tech actually made me a distributor, and I took the reins and I'm like, I'm going to be the distributor that I've always wanted. I'm going to be the guy that does things that nobody would else would do for me. To give you a for instance, and I don't even pay attention to these things, but why am I better? Oh, I have a customer calling. So hold that thought. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Be right back. All right. So, how many of you guys agree that Alex going to school on Tuesdays is a bad idea? Oh, Jesus Christ. So before I ran away, I saw Lawrence say, as a shop owner, how do you see pay when it comes to employees versus a contractor? So the neat thing as a shop owner with a contractor is you've got no financial like tax obligations beyond paying. So 100% what you pay is 100% it. Like you pay them that and that's it. A contractor, you can require them to have their own workers' comp insurance. You can require them to have their own liability insurance. You can, it makes it a whole lot easier on the business owner. The government, on the other hand, wants to get their nose as far up your ass as possible with contractors, and they want you to prove that you're not their sole income. If somebody's working for you and they're not producing other legitimate money, if they're doing jobs out of their garage and taking cash, that's not legitimate money because they're not 1099 on it and they're not W 2 on it, and they're probably not running it through their bank account, so they're not paying taxes on it. So that's no longer income. You can't use that to your advantage. So then the government will force you to put them on a W 2 situation and withholdings. And for that, then you're required to carry workers' comp insurance on them. You'll probably want to carry your own liability to cover what they do because they're now an employee and they can't be held responsible for the damage that they do and things like that. And then when you go to pay them, it's up to you to withhold the taxes and pay it to the government. And on top of that, you have to match certain parts of their taxes as an employer, which means that if you pay them, let's say you pay somebody, just to keep it simple, $100 a week, and they have to pay, withhold like 25% taxes. So you're withholding 25%. So you pay them 75, and then you would think that you just send out that 25 to the government, but that's not entirely true. You pay them their 75, you pay that other 25 to the government plus the FICA and not FICA. The fuck, I don't remember. I don't do the payroll, so it's kind of hard to remember. That's another position that is in our company that I pay somebody to do because it makes more sense. Because I don't have time to do all the things that need to be done if I'm going to be the size that I am. And, running a warehouse and a tint shop and all these SKUs, you don't get there by being a one man show. And you certainly don't, I had to have a nice little sit down with the IRS, and that's how I learned the hard way that all my contractors are not contractors. The ones that couldn't prove that they were making income elsewhere. The only one that I had that was making income elsewhere because I did real good for my tinners. And my office help, they weren't making money elsewhere. It was a given. They needed to be on payroll. And the other tinners were reliant solely on Tint Squad. So there was that. And then Matt Blackmer, who, Mr. YouTube sensation, he already had a profit stream coming from YouTube. That counted because that was a 1099 thing. So he had that money coming. And, from there, he's just grown. He's got all kinds of revenue streams. But if you don't have a legitimate tax paying revenue stream, and you have one person writing you a paycheck, I'm sorry, but in the government's eyes, that's a employee, not a contractor. So yeah, and as far as shop hands go, um, Dark Side's asking, how do you guys pay shop hands? Thinking about bringing one on, but not sure of the pay structure. You and the shop hand needs to come to an agreement as to what their position is and what that position is worth. One thing I can promise you is if you can utilize the shop hand, like Alex once upon a time used to be my prep person, and he could double my speed as a prep person. And all he did was put dryer sheet on a back window. He would prep the windows. I'd cut the windows. I'd shrink the windows. I'd lay the windows. He'd stay the fuck out of my way. And he would dryer sheet the back window and prep all the inside windows so I could lay them. And by the time I was ready to start laying patterns, I had windows to lay patterns on. So it takes me 35 minutes to lay a full car, and it takes me about 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes to shrink a back window. So in 40 minutes, I could be done with a car that I was taking, an hour and 15 minutes. And keep in mind that I smoke, well, like about midway through a car, I smoke a cigarette. I don't care if the car's taking me 30, 40 minutes or if it's taking me an hour and 20 minutes. So maybe it's better for my health to go slower because then I'll just smoke 2 cigarettes. I don't know. You guys know how that goes, right? No? Maybe? So yeah, the shop hand, he can be indispensable if you can use them properly. And aside from that, you could potentially grow him into being a tinter. I've always tried to be as transparent as possible as far as what I'm going through running a business, because between taking good care of the person, treating them right, paying them their worth when they're worth it, because your shop hand is going to become worth it before you're going to want to pay them that kind of money. And if you give them a couple $100 a week or whatever you guys agree to, it's hard right now because things are moving so fast. You know, we don't have anybody that makes under $15 an hour. Um, so a shop hand's going to make $15 an hour if you utilize them for 40 hours a week. So this is where you got to be careful because you're going to give them $600 a week. The only way that that's not going to work for you is if one, you don't use them for their full potential. There's going to come a time where your your helper or prep person is going to be able to outrun you. As they get better at what they do, they can outrun you. They should be next to you while you're answering phones. Now, personally, my favorite first position to fill in a tint shop where I'm the tinner is the phones. Time is my most valuable asset. And as you guys just saw here, I answered a phone call and I tried probably 5, 10 minutes to get off the phone with that guy. It's not always possible. It's not, and you guys just sat here and was probably like, look at this guy just talking on the fucking phone, keeping a smile on my face 100% of the time and trying to maintain the ambition because he doesn't know he's interrupting me. And I'm not going to be like, hey, you ain't as important as what I got going on behind the scenes. I have to figure out how to juggle all that. And as a one man show, thinking about hiring somebody, think about what you juggle the most. And what you're juggling the most is your time. Who's going to be able to speed you up more? The guy that can outrun you prepping windows, that can't answer the phone, and he's standing around getting paid while you're talking to customers being held hostage on the phone, or hire somebody and teach them how to answer and talk to the customers. Your impatience when you need to get back to a job transmits over the phone. That's something you got to learn how not to do. So if you're answering the phone and you got work to do and you don't want to be on the phone, you're not closing that job. You're not scheduling that job unless that customer wants that job. And if you got somebody that their job is to answer the phone, then your job behind the scenes is to figure out a way to get that phone to ring. And when you get that phone to ring and that person's answering the phone, that's that person's job. That person wants to be on the phone with your customer. That person's creating a relationship with your customer. That person is representing your company as a company that wants that customer in their circle. That person is making your company desirable. Meanwhile, probably saving you maybe 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day. How many cars can you tint in that time? How much are you paying this person? 8 hours, $15 an hour. So you're paying them $128 a day. They're happy to answer the phone and talk to your customers. $120 and they're saving you 2, maybe 3 hours. So how much did that person just make you that day? Very important stuff. That person is going to get really good at it. They're going to learn how to put people on hold, answer another call, make them feel happy to be on hold, get back to the other call, and handle both calls simultaneously. While now you're training your helper. Your helper's doubling your speed, and your assistant that you hired first is now capable of doubling your workload. Before you know it, your helper becomes a tinner because he's been paying attention and he's been tired of waiting on you to catch up to him. So you've been letting him lay quarters and then teaching him to lay doors and then teaching him how to shrink a back glass. And before you know it, he's able to tint a whole car himself. And you hire 2 more helpers and maybe 1 more counter person. You see where I'm going with this? It happens unless you're like, well, I don't really think I can afford to hire somebody. You can't afford to hire somebody because you can't get off the phone long enough. And it's not all about the phone either. What happens when the customer comes to pay for their car? How long do you spend answering dumb questions? Like what if this or how long that? And, sometimes that might per customer take you an extra 20 minutes. So between intake and checkout, you got 20 minutes and you got 2 to 3 hours on the phone a day. How many cars can you actually do a day? I can tell you how many cars I can do a day, 8 to 10. Never had any, never could I ever have imagined that I could have done that when I was running a shop by myself because it was three, maybe four, and I was so fucking wasted by the end of those days. But you get somebody answering phones and somebody helping you prep, 8, 10. I think my best day was 14. I don't I don't voluntarily do 14. I'm not all about the money, but yeah, so there's that. Pay your sister or girlfriend, wife a few days a week and watch the results. That's an excellent. In fact, in 2015 when we got the tint shop, Mary was already doing she was the office. She was doing the scheduling and the payroll and the billing and the collecting and all that stuff already. And when we opened the shop, I said, I'm going to need your help. Now, she knew a little bit about the industry because of the position she was in, but now she's going to have to go face retail customers. And she was a sponge. I taught her everything I knew, and she adapted it to her personality, and she became the counter girl. And she trains the counter girls now. And, I always thought upselling tint, she could run in Michigan, a 70% upsell rate, 70 to 80% upsell rate. Because she'll take the technical information I give her and she's like, that's too much fucking information. I don't need to know all that. And she breaks it down in the simplest form for the customers. And they're like, well, of course I want the better. And guess what? From our bottom to the top, we're all lifetime warranty. We don't sell warranties. We sell value. We sell performance. And so that's what she tells people. It's like the first one is a dyed film. Dye is just like paint, it fades over time. There's nothing you can do about it. It's going to last a lifetime, but you're going to notice that just like your paint job, it's going to fade over time. Then we have carbon and ceramic, and they're both a nanoparticle construction without any dye in it, and they're not going to fade over time. So that gives the customer a quick, easy reason to jump up to the middle one. And then she's like, let's talk about performance. Basically, the bottom one, she just tells them that's no heat rejection. It's just making your car pretty. If that's what you want, cool, it's this price. And then she throws these fictitious numbers out there. She's like, yeah, basically 40% heat rejection for carbon and 80% for ceramic. So which one do you like? And it paints enough of a broad picture for the customer to make a really educated decision. Okay, so if I just want to look good and I get a lifetime warranty, I can get this bottom one. If I want a little decent performance, I can get this middle one and it's never going to fade. Or I'll get the never going to fade and a lot more performance out of this top one. Which one do I want? And the majority of people here in Michigan land on the middle one. A lot of people land on the top one, and maybe 30-40% land on the bottom one. Great profits. So then we're also like 289 for dyed film, 389 and 489 respectfully for a complete car here in Michigan, where you don't need tint. Tint's a luxury, and we're in the Motor City, so there's tint shops galore. I don't want to hear about, oh, you can't get those rates, because Tint Squad is the reason that the rates are up where they're at. Instead of, I was in 1989 when I started tinting professionally, we were at 225 for a four-door sedan. When I went into business for myself, the market was 165 for a four-door sedan, and that was in 2013. What happened from 1989 to 2013 to make it cheaper to get a car tinted? Our mentality, the idea of competition, the worry about we ain't going to get enough busy, the inability to sell ourselves. And from 2013 to 2023, we're up $125 a car for the dyed film, and we're selling more carbon and ceramic than ever before for 100 and 200 respectively more. We're we're making a living now, and you guys can do exactly the same thing. It's not that difficult, and I know a guy that's got a roadmap to get you there. It's not that, it's amazing. Brian says after 28 years, his knees are shot. He definitely moves slower. A 45-minute car is now an hour and 15 minutes. And think about it, an hour and 15 minutes a car isn't terrible. I personally don't know how long it takes me to tint a car. Mary was doing a flat glass job the other day, and she had this door to do. She thought she was just doing one door and then one office window. And she went out there, and this door was crazy. It's a full glass, four-sided glass door with no frame, and the handle was bolted through. It had two uprisers on each side with the bolt through pieces. And I explained to her how it comes apart, and she took a picture and sent it to me. And she says, "I don't have a tool to take this apart." And I'm like, "Oh shit." Well, she was only about 15 minutes from me, so I'm like, "You know what? I'll just leave Alex here. I'll come bring you some tools." And I got there, and I'm like, "Can I give you a hand?" And she's like, "Sure." And I took over the job, and I did the job for her because I don't tint windows anymore. And it turns out it's like riding a bicycle. And we made short work of that and got the hell out of there. And she was like, "I was going to do that." And I'm like, "Well, I appreciate you letting me do that." Yep, yep. So what do you think, guys? And hey, Martin, I see you there. What's up, man? What's up? Um, It is 6:17. I looked up at the clock and it was like 6 o'clock, and I was like, well, I just had that whole fiasco with the customer on the phone and left you guys kind of dangling here, and so I'll talk for just a couple minutes longer. And now it's 6:17, and where did that time go? Oh shit! And I never went and got myself something to drink, so that's definitely next on my list for sure. So my wife answers her phones and schedules the appointments, and I get, "Where's the cute girl?" on the phone. Yeah, Brittany, she used to answer the phones here, and people loved talking to her. And then she went over to the tint shop to run things over there. And yeah, I got that for months. I think it's been like a year since she's been here. And every now and again, somebody still says, "Hey, where's Brittany at?" And yeah, watch my shows. They talk about her on my shows. Like, she's over at the tint shop. She's answering phones, scheduling appointments, giving out information. She's now wrapping, doing um, taillights and chrome deletes and hoods and roofs and all kinds of cool stuff. And of course, she's doing PPF, and she's just having a ball over there. And so I'm over here doing the old people stuff. It's funny when you get older, you have to do it all day, and it seems like, ugh, I don't want to do this anymore. So I embrace the idea of running a warehouse, and then I get the opportunity to tint a couple windows or wrap something or do a tail light, and I'm like all for it. Mary had a couple months back had me run over to the shop to do a customer. Got in a car accident, so they replaced his tail light, and it was time to get it retinted. And I went over there to do it, and I was just like, "Oh, this is cool." Customers happy. I love talking to happy customers. It just makes me feel like my job's worth it. I don't know if you guys can relate to that. So yeah, that is all of that. And I don't know. If you didn't watch the beginning of this, though, this was all about the Tint Buster. We will have those up on the website. We will be selling those possibly as early as tomorrow. I've been juggling a lot of stuff trying to get things put in a particular order, and we just we don't have the people to do it because it's just me and Alex. I got to hire somebody or two soon, like within the next week or so. So who knows? You guys might get to meet somebody or bodies new. Maybe we'll spy on them on the Tuesday live streams with security cameras. We'll make fun of them. I don't know. Anyways, you guys have been fantastic. I appreciate you hanging out with me. But just like always, until next time,